I the meanest?
Sure enough.
Am I the prettiest?
Sure enough.
Am I the baddest mofo low down around this town?
Sure enough.
Well, who am I?
Sure enough.
Who am I?
Sure enough.
I can't hear you.
Sure enough.
Hey, folks, how are you? Phil Davis, Ancestrylands, ancestrylands.com. Hey, folks, how are you? Phil Davis, Ancestrylands. Happy Monday, folks. Happy Monday. Are you having a good Monday? I don't know. I'm having a great Monday. Are you having a great Monday, folks? Happy Monday to the folks out there. Folks, Phil Davis, Ancestrylands, ancestrylands.com. I'm live streaming now, folks. Let me make sure we can hear me in the, if you can hear me in the video there. Let's just check, make sure. I want to make sure that we start off with great volume. People can hear me and the actual, let me make sure I can hear myself. Hey, all right, we can hear each other. Facebook, we're streaming on Facebook and YouTube. Folks, we start off, we have, bad news. There was a down in Nashville, Tennessee, Tennessee, the school called the Covenant Private School, folks. This just came in today, a few short hours ago. There was a person who actually had some firearms and took it upon themselves to, take. Not only were they put down by the police, but also 3 children and 3 adults were caught up in this school issue. We're going to cover that a little bit, folks. That's a very heavy subject because, I have school-age children as well. I think this is something that all parents are becoming more, it's coming to the forefront of realization that, this is something that parents are going to have to deal with, come face to face with that possibility. And this actually happens at a private school, no less. So, one of the things that I do know about my children's school is that they have all the doors locked. You cannot get into, they have a double door system where you can only get into the first door after you, it's called the Raptor system, RAPTR system that they use. And they put this in very quickly. This actually started at the beginning of the year. The details are not all out. We do know that the person that did the this issue here at the school down there was a female. I believe it was a teen, but we'll wait for more details to come out to talk about the story that unfolded. And I say that with our prayers and thoughts go out to the families that sent their kids to school, hoping their kids had a good school day, only to hear bad news that not only the kids that survived this event are traumatized, but the parents whose children and family and coworkers who've lost loved ones that were at the school too as well. With all of this going on, I remember back in the 90s, the Columbine issue that happened. And we talk about getting rid of the rifles, things like that. And again, I'm wondering, why are the schools not putting the security in place? Why is it still that, and again, I don't know all the details in this, but why is it that elementary schools, hospitals, places that are considered soft targets, why are they not, why has the culture around these areas not changed and put in higher levels of security? This should be nationwide at this point. It also begs the question of, homeschooling your children, because, this is something that is going to keep happening. They had handguns too as well. So it wasn't like a just in, a rifle was going to just be it. That they brought in other things. And again, you don't necessarily need the GUNs to be able to harm someone. Even in the UK, they have long blades and things like that that can do just much damage. Can be easier to get by. And this situation calls into question that as parents, you can't wait until you get the call to make a decision. A lot of times, we as parents tend to kind of look at it as this is some foreign thing happening in another place. And we do have an inkling that this could happen, but that cognitive dissonance, it happened somewhere else, so I'm safe. But we don't know until it happens to us, then it becomes a horrifying reality. And I want to say to the parents out there that, don't wait until you have to experience terror or horror to say, let me put a plan in action. I'm not I don't think I'm prepared in the sense of understanding how to deal with this. My students, or I'm sorry, my children's school does send us email where they do drills and things like that. But when things really start happening, a lot of times it's not the same as it's done in the drill and being prepared. Um, there's nothing you can do, and the parents are completely helpless in a lot of cases. Um, Thankfully, law enforcement did put this person down. This could be a greater call to understanding mental health and the things that are going on with our economy. As the United States continues, and other areas too, because it's not just United States, continues a downward trend, you're going to have people um, suffering from mental health issues, people who can't handle the decline in society. Excuse me for my allergies, folks. And I apologize for the serious tone up front, but before I get into the laughing matters and other things that could be interpreted as comical, this story has me very much at a little loss for words because I have young children myself, and again, this is if you don't know anything about this, I'm gonna just go over this story lightly right now, and this is to get parents informed. Not everyone watches the news, not everyone reads the news. You might be just coming home from work on the East Coast, or you might just be having lunch or just getting off of lunch, getting back to work, and you don't know that this actually happened. So this is out in the Covenant School, a private Christian school in Nashville, Tennessee. These are students here being rushed out of the building of this private school. And there was a female person wielding two rifles and a pistol, and she deleted three students and three adults at this private Christian school today. And they're saying, and my whole point is the deletions come as the communities around the nation reeling from the Uvalde things, and then the stuff in Virginia, and then another one in Denver. And the point of this is that we know that it's going to become political, and the parents and the families, the loved ones of the people that are lost in this, they're going to get completely lost in the battle for the politicization of whatever issues are going to be coming from this. My main issue is that I think should always be looked at is what security measures did schools have in place. I, for one, the hospitals I've worked at, all of them, the security there is very laxed. I have seen in my hospital recently, the security started. Or I've seen other hospitals, especially where my son was born here in Pennsylvania. They did carry firearms at that place. I don't know the training, but it was somewhat refreshing to see um, a firearm holder as part of the security team. I know in California, the hospitals I work at, they tend not to have anything like that on them. They do have an increased surrounding presence, but if someone's coming in there to do harm, it's very little you're going to do without the same level of threat deterrence. So I don't want to go into this too much because you're going to read on the news. It's going to be on the news all week, I'm sure. But I wanted to let people know that this did happen. Folks, it's a good time to talk to your children. It's a good time to sit down with them and let them know what's happening. And I would say is that you have to be able to tell your kids, um, what they should do. Sometimes, if not every teacher can be a Navy SEAL person when things like this happen. You're not going to have people who are the fear. can be taken over with them. The drill is one thing, but a person having intuition or being able to do crisis management and deal with the students, most of the teachers at my children's school are female. Not that females can't handle that situation, but again, when that situation happens, a certain level of aggression or know-how to be able to get children to safety is going to be needed. And you have to have someone who won't freeze up. That's the flight or fright response. Fight or flight, I'm sorry, response. And sometimes people have that response no matter what. There are people who freeze up in situations no matter what, man or woman. So you can't just simply rely on the teachers or the administration to have your kids completely, that their safeties, they're going to know what to do. We've recently got emails saying that they're taking away some of the smartphone devices or the handheld communications, the wristbands and things like that, because parents had access to their children that way. And there becomes a conflict now with the schools saying that the kids can't have that. And when situations happen like this down in Nashville, the last thing I want as a parent is to be saying, I can't communicate with my kids and find out if they're in harm's way or not because the school doesn't want a communication device on them. I think the schools are going to have a really hard time keeping that in check. And I do understand why schools would not want families to let their children have that at the school. So that's something that, again, I think parents need to sit down with their children, no matter what age they are. If they're going to school, it's something you should talk with your children about. Um, this is a sad day, and it's going to continue to happen until some serious security measures are put in place. And that's the center point that should be concentrated on all schools throughout the United States because they are considered soft targets. Now, a soft target is a place that is not very well defended, or there's too many access points for people who are non-staff or people can just slip into. This has happened at hospitals in New York. This has happened in tons of places, not just schools. This has happened in other places, but government buildings are always they always have armed people there. So I don't know why schools are not included into that. Even hospitals to some degree. Um, but again, that requires a certain level of training that goes along with that. And I know they're talking about areas where teachers may be armed too as well, and that opens up the discussion for that because this is something that's serious. It terrifies the hell out of me, folks. Okay, moving on to other news, folks. We're gonna try to lighten it up again, folks. I want to say many of us out there having hardships. Many of us are having, I want to say we're having tough times in life. Many of us cannot admit that we're having tough times in life. Sorry, I'm listening. My kids just came in, so I can hear. I'm trying to hear if somebody's yelling or somebody's just talking loudly. You know how kids are? They have the volume control. It's like, damn, why are you yelling? Any which way, I was going to say is that one of the things in my real estate journey that I've learned is that just because like if you're looking to buy a home and someone has a home, you can't always assume that their financial situation is better just because they have things that you're trying to obtain. Sometimes the people who have obtained things, uh, obtaining and managing are two separate things. Very too much, two separate things. A lot of times you see people who have symbols of wealth, symbols, Mercedes Benz, they got a nice house, beautiful wife, or attractive wife, Rolex watches. Those symbols of wealth don't indicate wealth. I want you to understand that. Many of us are going through hardships, and it depends on how wealth or money management is leveraged. When I say leveraged, I mean it's how you're using it. Many people have symbols of wealth and they're in mountains of credit debt. You hear now that the national savings rate is down. People are living paycheck to paycheck ever more. And a lot of times, people can be in married situations that do not adjust to the current financial state that the world is in. I've had this issue with my wife. where I've said, hey, people living paycheck to paycheck. And she said, I don't care. We should be doing better. And I said, well, how can you fight inflation when it's a worldwide thing? You know, you can't beat the world when the world's going down and burning. You can't just say that this island, my island that I exist on, should always remain afloat when the sea levels are rising. It doesn't work that way. I've had to tell her that many a time, to her understanding over time. But in time, she did not get that right away. I said, I can't beat inflation. And that's something that I hope wives and husbands listen to, because when things get hard, you tend to want to, and it's no secret, divorce rates are higher than ever, especially during moments of crisis, like, the pandemic and everything else like that. And again, are the problems you're experiencing with your spouse, a, there's always a desire to kind of attack each other, where you should be kind of banding together. The issue with what's going on is that you don't see how bad the world is getting. We try to stay in the comforts of what we find secure, security. We try to keep to our shopping habits or current spending levels. And there isn't the honest conversation that, hey, things are kind of, things are, getting bad. When I say getting bad, things are getting tough, tighter. Budgets may not be as, you know, as large as they used to be. Even land business is taking a hit, just like all real estate. I used to have like 40 something sales a year, and that's down. Is that a reason to quit or decide to? No, what you have to do is leverage or move or shift to a different strategy. But you have to be able to see that that's going down. You've got to look at your numbers in business and in life, in marriage and in your personal. You don't have to be married to be able to understand this philosophy, but you've got to take action and start looking at your numbers. One thing I liked about a show, Shark Tank. If you ever watch Shark Tank, they have Mark Cuban, what's his name, Damon Johnson, and a host of others revolving in the show. And one thing I like is when people come up on the show, I always like that they know their numbers. When they get asked a question about their business, they can shoot the numbers off the top of their head. Do you know your numbers? And when I say that is because when you know your numbers, you can start to establish trends. You can see where, hey, things are going to be cutting back. I need to maybe cut back on expenses. Maybe I need to, start in using profits in a different way. Maybe I need to slow down buying more product or more inventory. Hey baby, look, you know what? You can't get those Vera wings, maybe, but just once a year. You got wives, and I'm in the areas all the time, and I see tons of wives. They shop at a Target every single day. Well, there are husbands and wives having arguments over why a wife is shopping every day. And he's trying to teach her that things are getting worse, but she expects to live at a certain level, not knowing that what she's doing actually is going to hasten or quicken her not living at the level she's living at now. Or a man's excessive or lavish, expensive taste is going to do the same thing as the woman is doing in the other example, the other side of the mirror. So I always say, folks, that you got to know your numbers and you got to be real about what's going on in your life. The worst thing is a person who thinks that they or using, clout chasing, or someone that's trying to live outside, of what their actual parameters and boundaries are. And that's going to take us into this next story. I see with crypto. I'm not going to go off on the crypto community. I'm not going to do that. I'm not here to tear down crypto. Crypto is, I was going to say Crispo or Crisco, like the oil. The crypto, we've seen FTX. And I've got another story from, this self-styled or self-proclaimed crypto king. Um, the thing of the lavish lifestyle, the YouTube showing of the cars, Lamborghinis, everyone wants quick and easy. No one wants to work for it, get it out of the mud. Everyone's portraying something that they're not. I always tell my family is that, I don't do videos with Lamborghinis because I don't have a Lamborghini. I don't do commercials with, um, in a mansion. I don't need to do that because I don't have that. You got a lot of people out here, or gurus, or people who they're giving you the presentation of wealth, but they don't actually have it. Hell, I would be better with a person who was trying to build wealth and trying to get it than a person who's claiming to be a millionaire and doesn't have it. Now, I myself am not a millionaire, but it being on your way, accumulating it, is a person you want to follow. You want to follow a person who is trying to accumulate wealth. A person that's a millionaire. I mean, I'm saying if you're a millionaire, you should be able to show the receipts. Then, correct? You should have, and again, I'm a millionaire or my company's $1 million company. Which one is it? Because again, you have a lot of information going out of it. I don't own anything. I put it into a trust. And, we've got all these shorthand explanations on, how to put money here, this, and everywhere. But a lot of people aren't liquid. Liquid meaning that you have access to cash or capital at a moment's notice. Yeah, a lot of people's money are tied up in investments or things that, they can't pull the money out if they needed it. If they needed, $15,000, they couldn't pull that money out right today. It's tied up. It's money that's not usable. And I say in the same way is that, again, you have to ask yourself, again, are people selling you a dream? I told my wife this earlier. I was like, a lot of things she told me when we first met that she believed living in California, no less. She was sold information, not told the truth. She didn't do any research, and now that she has children, her mindset is evolving and changing, where she's just not buying whatever people are spitting out. I think that's a good thing. I do. And again, you got to be careful, young people, that you don't fall into having a business model. And what you do is you want to live off of cash or profits that are other people's investments. We've seen this with FTX. We've seen this all the time with these, again, you see these investments being put into places. And what people do is they start to use that money to fund themselves. And we have this one here is that, a fallen crypto king. And again, I'm never going to glorify anything like this. But again, this young man, he made adult choices. This is what happens when boys play men games. When you're a child and you haven't learned the world of adults, when you play games or you play in the arena of men and men or adults, you're going to get man actions or reactions. And this is a lesson to crypto people who just follow crypto blindly and say, crypto this, crypto that, crypto this, crypto that. And again, I've seen so much information that it's not backed by anything. There's nothing like gold where it's an actual standard or some form of value. And not to say that it does not have value, but there are a lot of people out there that, the research, we've seen this with FTX, with tons of other people getting pulled up in there. But, the fallen crypto king who owes millions to investors was kidnapped and tortured. A self-styled crypto king who alleging, this comes by Yahoo. This is not me, this is from Connor Sefton, March 27th. That's today. This 8:50 a.m. This is earlier today that this article was put out. This crypto king who allegedly fleeced investors, this is me reading an article, out of millions, was kidnapped and tortured, according to explosive court documents. You can read his name here. Mr. Pluttersty led a lavish lifestyle and owned a McLaren, sports car, and a Lamborghini, and even rented a plush waterfront home for $45,000 a month. He promised his investors healthy returns of 7%, and it all came crashing down and ended up him filing for bankruptcy. It was believed that this young man, who's 23 when his company went under, 23 years old, And it's funny because I've had 60-year-old men tell me that they've seen 20-year-olds making money, making this money. And they're like, "Oh, I want to follow the trend." And I always say is you've been on the earth that long and you see some 20-year-olds getting fast money. Nothing in the game told you to think, stop, think, and listen. There are tons of people who are going to skate by and get out quick, but for the most part, they're going to get swept up in the net. His father, Dragan reveals, one person that Pledersky was allowed to contact was a man named Sandy, his landlord. He's received multiple calls late at night from this young man, Pledersky. He told him this would be impossible to arrange, and while he was determined not to pay any money, he wanted to engineer the situation so he didn't come to harm. On a different phone, he began to call 911. Over the following days, the landlord worked with officers in an attempt to set up a meeting. So this is obviously the young man was abducted, and ensure that the young man was brought to safety. So I mean, again, that's it's trying to live the TikTok lifestyle. There are people out there who have worked years, decades, even that have invested money that believe in a person can bring them back money, investors. And this happens when you play around with people's money. One thing I don't do is when I have staff and I need to pay them, I pay them right away. I don't play with people's money. People do not play do not play over a dollar. A dollar can cost you your life in certain arenas. It can. And a person who blindly plays with another person with money, a fool and his money will soon part ways, they say. Gupta said in his testimony that Pledersky's actions had put him and his family in danger. And again, young people, you need to understand that your actions have consequences, not only for yourself, but the people around you. I tell my children all the time, even my wife, when you walk out the door, you represent this family, not only yourself. That means the things you do can come back on, even yes, the newborn baby, even yes, your mother, even yes, your grandparents. It can come back on the whole family, depending on the situation and circumstances. And this young man could have had not just himself abducted, but other people around him. And in certain situations, he may not come back, or his family members. Random people also visited property that the fallen entrepreneur was renting. Efforts are now underway to recover as much money as possible from his victims. While he has claimed that the money was lost in a series of bad trades and margin calls, he's been accused of blowing millions on his lavish lifestyle. It's estimated that he only had invested 1.6% of the funds he was given. And he attempted to defend himself by saying he was a 20-something-year-old kid. And again, that is again the seriousness of understanding you're dealing with an adult world, and you put your hands and faith into someone who's a child because they're showing you the symbols of wealth. They're not showing you actual returns, documents, receipt. There's no research going in. When you try to invest quickly, you get the outcomes that come with that, including the investors. Now, again, I'm sure he might have shown some good trades at different times, but again, a lot of times people put their money in something and they just repeat back what I call the word salad or the garble about why something is good. Crypto is good because it hedges against the monetary one and it can't be manipulated, central banks, this and this. But when you see FTX, when you see these cryptos failing constantly, how is it not put in the same respects as the argument about the dollar failing? I mean, they're both currencies, and again, they fluctuate, have dramatic drops, but again, it's the same thing happening when they're backed by nothing. The dollar is backed by nothing. It used to be backed by the gold standard. Now it's backed by nothing. Same thing with these, digital currencies. And again, it's because we've invested in nothing so much, the government is going to create nothing. The CBDC, central banking, digital currency, which everyone's scared of coming out. And I'm like, well, you invested in crypto and pretty much laid the groundwork for the what you're scared of, the big bad boogie monster. You can't lay roads down and not expect for your enemy to walk up the same roads that you lay down. If you've invested in crypto, then you should understand that you've paved the way for government to see that people will invest in something such as a digital currency. And when they decide that it's going to be now become the currency, you got to follow suit and get everything that comes with it. And again, this was laid down by the fact of people wanting to what? I don't want the government to track me. Okay, great. Now the government figures out, well, let's put this all in place nationwide. Let's get other countries to do it. Pass or fail, they will figure it out. Now, again, is this a blame? No, but again, you have to understand you've laid the groundwork for the CBDC to come. If you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything. No one stood saying that this is going to be. I've seen Dan Pena. He's said about it. He's like, if you knew who's behind Bitcoin, it's backed by nothing. So again, if you find a way to become a millionaire or a billionaire backed by nothing, what do you expect the government to do? They're going to want in on that action, like any other organized system that is about getting money. I mean, what do you expect? You can't benefit from it or find the benefits in something that is a methodology that's going to work for you and then not expect everyone else to see it benefiting and the people in power to say, okay, well, great, let's put this into bigger control mechanisms. I mean, again, it's the pot calling the kettle black, in my opinion. Yeah, I've always put my money into land and things that are tangible wealth. Yeah, I've said before, with this coming, there are going to be a lot of people who can't buy certain things because, again, you could always have your digital account closed or demonetized. If they can cancel you on social media, if they can cancel you by calling your job, if they can cancel you in the eyes of the public and you could be publicly canceled, then why can't they digitally cancel you too as well? But again, the crypto investors, you've paved the way for the government to see the CBDC or digital currency as a method of saying, okay, well, let's put it all in place. You don't have to like it, but you have to accept the fact that the road paved to Rome was paved by the same people who invested in this. I'm surprised people didn't see that the government was going to do this a long time ago, the day that it became something that people wanted to do. If you felt like you were going to be able to hide your money, then the government just put in a way that you can't hide anything. Actually, you helped them because using the cash-based system, the paper system, the fiat system, it was easier to hide. But again, people want to be smart, and now we're doing the F around to find out, and we're getting closer to that access. Then what are you going to do? And again, for all the people who say this, and that, but again, you're laying the groundwork for it. You're laying the groundwork for it. Then what are you going to do? All the people with the bright ideas, now they have to fall in line, just like the rest of us. You don't own land, so you can't plant your own seeds. You can't use your own crops. You can't raise your own animals because you've got to go out there and purchase everything. And again, the systems are only so good as the community that you build. That's why I've been talking about people going and buying land. Because again, when you own land that other people are going to want to operate on, if a person is inside the CBD system, if you're leasing the land or have the land to them, you can at least work off on a bartering system to get items from a person who is operating within the CBDC model. That's game for you, for the people listening. See, I always like to put it in at 35, 40 minutes because a lot of times people want the information up front. And I don't want to give it then because I want to see if you're watching. You should be able to get your gym at minute 35, minute 45, minute 55, an hour in. Because again, you're looking for the information up front. I'm going to train you to stay in focus. I'm going to show you a video. And that's what I'm talking about. And again, if the CBDC comes into play, how will your 401k be managed then? Just think about all the 401ks or pension funds that have invested in crypto and have fall victim or lost money into, Again, and it speaks to the point of no one wants to be in control of their own castle. We always want something else to run it. I'm going to say this about the same thing with Chat GPT and this AI, the AI diffusion that's going on. That again, it's the same thing with CBDC. All we're doing is allowing the road to be paved for the AI now to come in and take our place. Essentially, you only need essentially it's going to be, and I thought I saw something I'm saying about, we need the human population to be what it was 500 years ago. Eventually all you're going to need is about a certain population of humans to continuously exist to run the machines until the machines can run themselves. And then what do you need humans for at this point? We lay the pathway for our own destruction. We build the road. We actually build the road to the gates of our own destruction, because everybody's concerned about the get it now. No one's looking ahead. We're seeing our country be tore down bit by bit. We're implicit in that, in the fact that we can't even manage our own relationships. Women don't see the value in being led by a man. They want their independence. With independence comes individuality. With individuality, you're easier to target because you're no longer part of a group. You don't have the strength of other people's expertise or their strengths to cover for your deficiencies. Maybe that was by design. Men too, we see that we don't invest, or we don't find people that can bring value to the table. We look for women for their assets of, booty, face, lips, and things like that. We never stop to think about the quality or character of the women that we're choosing. Same goes for women. And what we end up with is all of us becoming divided and conquerable. Because again, the benefits can be given to an individual to turn on the group, if there's a group left. When you have a CBDC, you can promise riches. A rich person can be created now. Wealth can be given depending on who's selected. I don't know. Maybe I'm just stupid. Maybe that's just me. But I'm going to show you a video here talking about 401k, because again, I always see how people they blindly, and I showed this to my wife earlier because we've had so many discussions about 401ks and 401ks and all the blind belief in the investment model of 401k. And so again, the video, I'm going to show it, but I'm going to show it in mute because I want to show it. I don't, there's music playing in the background. I don't want to get a copyright on it. But again, it talks about 401ks. If you're having tax deferred income from a 401k, the money's taken out, it's not taxed in a 401k. So you are working, they take 10%, let's just say 10% of your income, whatever your gross is, they take that out. You don't get taxed on that income. Okay, let's start there. That money gets put away and invested over time for later on when you retire at age 70, 72, 75. Who knows when they'll maybe raise it up to 85. You may not even be able to live to be able to collect on your 401k by the time they get done passing the laws on it. Because we simply rely in the 401k as if the 401k is loyal to us. It's not. I mean, we had 2008, now we're 15 years later, we got another downturn, another group of people retiring. And again, we're seeing the markets just lose large percentages of money. 401k, here we go. So here's my thing. You take the money out now at this tax rate, okay? And how I'm going to phrase it is, we see inflation going up. I've already shown you all inflation calculators. This is where I keep building on episodes of information on information. So you invest in your 401k, you take 10% of the money that you made today, okay? You save that for, if you're 30, then you got to save it for the next 40 years. The first 10% that you've made now. So we know in 4 decades, with the inflation calculator that I always bring up, that same, let's say $100 that they're taking out 10% of your income is not going to be worth the same $100 it's going to be in 40 years. It's going to be worth less. And we also know that taxes will increase over time. Look at your gas in the last 40 years. Hell, when I 20 years ago, gas was under $1 for me. When I grew up, when I was driving, gas was just, it was like $1, it was just around $1.99 a gallon. $1.99, $1.50, less than $2. 2001, gas went up to $5. Hell, I mean, and stayed there in New York. So, and again, 40 years, taxes are much higher. I mean, do you think with all these trillions of dollars, that tax rate is going to go down? So when you are 70 something years old looking to retire on a 401k, you're now paying higher taxes on the money that you made a long time ago, 40 years ago, and counting, that now inflation has gobbled up. That same $100, compounded over time, is not worth $100 anymore. Maybe it's worth $45 in 40 years, the same value now because of inflation and all the monetary policies put in over the next. I mean, you got to figure just 4 years, you could get trillions of dollars of debt. What is it going to be when you get 40 years? That means there's 10 more presidents going on. And if things are going the way they're going now, we'll be in numbers that can't even be calculated in 40 years. I mean, at one point, the tax rate on people in a certain tax bracket was 90%. Could you imagine in a 401k, you're now paying a tax rate of 90% when you have a 401k? This is the point where you're now no longer actively working in life. Now that money is being recouped back to the government in a tax rate of 90%. I'm not saying tax rate, but I'm just saying at one point in time, I think it was maybe Reagan eras, that the tax rate was up to 90%. I know that was on the most wealthiest people. I get it. But I'm still making a point that people were taxed at 90% at one point in time. That's a real fact. Look it up. And you are now, even at 40%, 50%, you're now taxed at a higher tax rate than what you are now in your working years. Add inflation to that. See how I start compounding now? Not only inflation on your dollars, inflation on goods and services. We're living through a time right now where energy costs are being inflated. This summertime, check your energy bills. See if your energy bills don't go up dramatically, 20, 30%. So again, that's only on your money and economic standards of the value of your dollar purchasing power, but that doesn't mean the costs that are passed on to the consumer in 40 years from a 30-year-old's perspective. Think about this. So again, now you really think that 401k is going to save you at this point. And in this video here that the gentleman is talking about, is that it only made sense with a 401k when the tax rates were decreasing, and a downward decreasing tax model when taxes are lowered, then it would make sense for you to be using a 401k in retirement, because you now are being taxed at a lower rate. If your tax rate is 25, 26, 27%, and you're retiring at a point where the tax rate is 14%, well, that difference of 10%, you don't have to pay in taxes on the money that you had in a 401k. That's what it was originally thought to be used for. And again, I'm not giving you tax advice. I'm just explaining how taxes will go up. And this is just simple math. If we look at trends of taxes, the way they have been going up, spending, inflation, it has been going up. Inflation is still happening no matter what. We don't even got to hyperinflation yet. But again, if you have decreasing taxes, this is just basic math, where if you're taxed less at a time on money that you actually have deflation at that point, you actually are utilizing more money in your retirement years than you are if you have a 401k that you're cashing out and being taxed on later when taxes will be higher. Now, again, if you don't understand, go back to when I'm talking. I'm not going to repeat this, but some people, the light bulb just went on. It went ding, someone's light bulb went on. That's why I keep talking about building a business. The last thing you need, and again, most people are so committed to just being retired that they don't look at what life is like 10 years into retirement, 5 years into retirement. You're not going to be going out there and getting the same money, you're going to be on a fixed income no matter who you are. You're going to have some level, I mean, unless you just have generational wealth, true generational wealth in the form that, the money you have can be lived off by a couple generations, which probably won't be a lot, the 90 something percent of us. But, we love to follow those IG videos talking about you need to have this, you need to have that, and UBI. And again, you got to have some things in place. You can't just be, I'm going to work and do this. I'm going to work and have I'm going to do a 9 to 5 and have all of these wealth indicators in place. Show me a person who is working 9 to 5s and is a millionaire. A 9 to 5 that is not running the company. I'm talking about like ground level drone, like, show me the nurse that's out there being like, yeah, we're millionaires. Not in, I'm talking about liquid usable funds. Not I've got to sell my house in the best market. Anybody who needs the best timing in order to say that I can qualify at a certain number, they're not there. Because today they're not a millionaire. Tomorrow they may be, but they need the universe to align up to be a real millionaire. And that's the thing. Can you see that within yourself? I am not a millionaire yet. A couple years ago, I was getting close to that point, and now it's gone down, obviously, because one, people are paying properties off, and the real estate sales are not coming in that way. I'm not scared to admit that. That's reality. The moment I tell myself that's not a reality, no, I'm just going to be a millionaire because I'm there. If you have debt, you're not a millionaire. A millionaire is money in profit, not in debt. You got a mortgage, you're not a millionaire. Sorry. You got loans, you're not a millionaire. What is your net worth? Net, meaning what do you have after expenses are taken away? You can't tell me you're a millionaire if you have a house that you have to actually sell the house in order to have the cash value of the house. And again, when people are listening to this, they're listening to what is being sold, because no person wants to say I don't have enough. I tend to meet people and I say, I'm not there yet. I don't have that. People say you're doing good. I said, not good enough. I don't have everything that I want. I'm not there yet. But here's where I'm trying to get to. And again, the gentleman goes on to say, and this was from Seven Figure Squad. That's a YouTube channel. You can go and subscribe to them. I got it from them. I don't want to. It's the number 7 and then Figure Squad, all spaces. They had that up there in the shorts, and I saw that, and I said, "Man, that's pretty powerful because it makes sense." It says if you're going to have your company, they're going to match. You should just do just the match amount and keep it at that. Anything more, you're putting money along the way to be taxed at a higher rate. I would love to see people comment and tell me whether they agree with that statement or not. This is not my and I'll show it just so that way people can see it, because I want people to see that this is there. And the gentleman's talking about it. I mean, is it 40 seconds? Well, maybe we'll start it and get a little bit in there. But I'm not going to put it in there because I don't want to get a copywritten. But he was just saying this is what rich people know about 401ks that you don't. That's coming from this, that channel. And again, I like to hear things that make sense that I can digest. I don't want to hear, no, everyone tells you, oh, put this into that, put this over here, have a trust and a holding company, and then 5 LLCs and this and this. Listen, I'm going to give you something else. All right. You have all of that. I have LLCs. I have properties in 4 or 5 different states. I have a 10 I have to do 1040s or Schedule Cs, and I've got W-2s, right? I've got to pay for my business $1,200 for those taxes to be done. Then I've got to pay for all the states that we own land in, state taxes. I also have to pay for the state that I live in and the state that I work in, which is California. All right. That runs me about $2,400 to get that all done. That's taxes. That's the whole, and my wife's taxes too. The whole shebang bang. Because you got to pay all the different ones. So again, you have more than one LLCs, you got to run the taxes in that. So you're going to look at easily for a CPA to run that. You're going to have to be looking at 10,000 to have that whole setup run so you can file taxes on that stuff. No one tells you that stuff, right? Talk to a CPA. They're going to charge you for all those Schedule C's, the 1040s if you got them, whatever, 1099s, everything you got to do, payrolls, all of that's going to get, you're going to be paying a CPA quite a bit of money. You better make sure you got some cash, or else you're going to find that Instagram advice very short on what you need. You're going to be tons of information, but short on actual outputs at that point. And no one's going to tell you that in those videos. You know why? Because they're doing it for clicks. They're doing it for views. They're doing it for likes. They're not telling you the stuff you need to really know. They're telling you the stuff for you to follow that sound like good ideas, but they don't really have the process laid out. Yeah, I know that game. You have a trust, you have a holding company, you have a holding company that owns all these little LLCs, and some LLCs have DBAs, and you have each asset put into a different LLC. Do you know the tax bill that your CPA is going to send you for dealing with all of that? You better have 10, 15 grand set aside just for them to pay them to make them happy to go through all that stuff. So again, you can have it all, but you need to fund it all. And again, you got to have capital coming in to make that stuff cash flow correctly. Because if you're, a lot of times businesses won't tell you they're running debt. Debt is just rising up high. Cash flow is low. And in the case of this crypto person, what they do is they take the cash out of it and leave the company in debt. Now, I don't know about you, but I don't understand how someone can be telling me a business model where they're living off the cash, but the company's running in massive amounts of debt. Doesn't make any sense. But, it's there. In other news, all right, I'm going to get to the main one. Boy, this one big story here, man. Oh, man. Oh, we're going to lighten it up a little bit, folks. Woo, man. Meet the couple. Oh, man. Good gosh. Meet the couple. So I'm sorry, folks. And this is one thing I got about the black man, man. Are we always being the buck? Meet the couple who opened their 11-year marriage to a divorced father so they could grow emotionally and sexually. Here they are here, folks. This is TLC's Seeking Brutha Husband. I put it as brother because this obviously is a brother that they're looking for. So apparently this couple, this is on TLC no less. Again, this is where it's going to. The woman's married with the husband. Marriage is suffering up. And obviously to grow emotionally and sexually, they need Daddy Longstroke to come up in here and help things out. Kim, 37, and Dustin have been married for 11 years. Excuse me, folks. I'm going to try to get through this professionally. And open up their marriage last year. I'm sorry. So, folks, this is again. Now, listen, black men, if you're divorced out there, there may be hope for you yet. All right. Fine. Let's continue on TLC's up and coming series. Yeah, watch this with your wife. That's what you should do. All right. If you have white coworkers, let them know about this show. If you have white married women coworkers, let them know this show is coming up, especially if you're a brother on the job, right? See how that gets you. On TLC's up and coming series, Seeking Brutha Husband, they show the relationship with Vincent, who dates Kim but not Dustin, right? Okay. For now, They said opening a relationship. So again, this is the benefit for the wife. This is not a benefit for the husband. This is so he can keep his stuff. They said opening the relationship has been challenging, mainly due to others judging their decision. Of course, who's going to go along with this? First of all, no other husband is going to sign on to saying this is a good thing because that may give his wife ideas. Let my wife, ooh boy, I tell you, this ain't one to be playing around with, man. Kim loves Dustin. Of course she does. Just not in love with Dustin. Her husband, allegedly. I don't know if she's in, but again, she's got space for more in more ways than one, folks. And Vincent, her boyfriend, of course, there's more than one there. This is exactly why she wants to find another partner. A year ago, Kim and Dustin decided to open their marriage. This is for her, not him now, okay? This is a once, you know, we've seen this in the celebrity world. You know, a certain person got slapped and the other entanglements with, you know the history and the story with that. But again, Vincent is dating Kim, not Dustin, the husband. So unless he's interested in a poll, he's not getting, this is not for him. When Kim felt, or read this stuff, man. This is only TLC, the learning channel, right? This is teaching you stuff here, folks. When Kim fell in love with Vincent, who she met through a mutual friend, more than likely, allegedly, a female co-worker, they, along with her husband, decided to become a family unit. Are you kidding me? Their grade school age children play together. So obviously they both, well, it's just generational things going on. And Kim has a sexual relationship with both men. The story is featured on TLC's series Seeking Brutha Husband, where the married woman is seeking to date and marry men in addition to their first husbands. On the show's partners grapple with jealousy, obviously, confused and unsupportive family members, obviously, and a lot of uncomfortable conversations about polyamory. Now, let me ask this question to women out there. Would this work well in reverse for you? Those that might be supportive of this. You know, Dustin comes home, he goes into his bedroom, long day of work, and what he's hearing is Vincent clapping those cheeks, hitting the bottom of the box. Does he wait? Give them time? Do they have a schedule? Do they both show up sometimes at the same time? And again, here we go. Does it stop at one brother? During the first episode, Kim, a teacher, Dustin, a massage therapist. Well, there you go already. Already share a connection with Vincent. How does Dustin share a connection other than the fact that he obviously may be either, he might have more space when he goes in, or he might be creating the space for the next man? Share connect, but Vincent is worried about bringing a third man into the dynamic, which they confront on the show. So brother is worried about someone else coming in because he came in, maybe because he could be out. Insider caught up with Kim and Dustin, who said they're nervous but excited about being on the TLC series, of course, which hasn't publicly shared their open relationship till now. We've always worn our hearts on our sleeves, so we're like, hey, let's do this thing, Kim told Insider Right. And is this the guy being led and being CUCK by his wife? She said she shows the hopes, again, this is just gobbledygook here, that showing our authentic relationship with Dustin and Vincent can help others who are considering non-monogamous relationship. Why are you married then? They opened up about, and again, their marriage growing emotionally and sexually. I'm sure it's growing emotionally and sexually for one person, but how does this man, if she's wants another man coming in, a third man, how is I mean, again, I think a lot of men can see where I'm going with this one, but again, maybe he had no options, maybe he has no alternative but to let this happen. Whew, man, this is crazy. And again, what I'm wondering is this doesn't work that well for the man. Where is he now? I mean, again, if they had a real open relationship, then I guess then would she not be bringing in because it was her mutual friend? Would it work the same way for him, or is he just sitting there watching? Because it's only a one way slight. Now, if he were both bi, which I would be supportive of, then I can understand. Vince is coming in there and he's got to make two holes. He's got to fulfill two. There are two holes to fill in the position, or three, or four actually, or no, three because a man only has one hole. Well, the mouth too, but as well. And again, gosh, let's just go to the comments. I'm going straight to the comments on this one because again, let's see when this comes. Oh, okay, all right, it's already out, folks. It's already out. Seeking Brother Husband. Sunday, March 26th at 10 p.m. Of course, it's on the late night. You can't show this with kids around. And Discovery Plus, TLC and Discovery Plus, 10 p.m. folks on Sundays. Go watch. I thought, look at this. Here we go, Mikkel. I thought TLC stands for the Learning Channel. Well, you gonna learn today. Someone explained to me why we're trying to learn here because I missed the target. Yeah, Discovery used to be about wild animals. Well, this is kind of exotic and wild too, I guess. Now it's pawn shop store containers, drag queens, moonshiners. None of these cable outlets are like their former selves purposes. They've gone to the tacky reality route. Wow. I think it's called the Lusty Channel now. Great comment from Get Real. The Lusty Channels. Wow. That's so go ahead, folks. If Sunday night already out, called Seeking. That's why I call it Seeking Brutha, because that might have been a better one there. But again, where's it going to stop, folks? Where does it stops and end? That's where the world's going to, man. Women out here pummeled 3, 4, brothers, and that's where it's going, man. That's where it's going. Honey, Daddy, I want you to meet. You remember Dustin, don't you, Daddy? Yeah, of course. This is also Vincent, and Charles. You remember Charles, Daddy. And then we have Carl, too, as well. And don't forget Danny. I mean, where does the list go on? This is all Seeking Brother Husbands. Good God Almighty, folks. Where the hell are we going nowadays in this world? Are we de-evolving backwards? And again, I would want to know, how does a woman pair bond? So again, I'm pretty sure in like 5 years, Dustin's going to be he's going to be all but out of the picture completely. I mean, today it sounds exciting, but what happens later? And again, what if you wanted to stop? Now you're being controlling. Slippery slope. And again, Vincent there's nothing else. And again, the person most concerned about bringing in an extra male is actually the extra male. Go figure that one. I mean, wow. Jeez Louise, folks. I mean, and again, I lovely that. And again, and that's what I'm asking. Is this the bringing the buck in thing? You know what I mean? Like in older times as slaves, you get the woman there. She goes and finds a nice long John, long cat, daddy Longstroke. Goes in there, and now we have this is now still happening again. My whole thing is that, again, it's who pays what bills here. You know what I mean? It sounds cool up front. It does. If you're the third man in there. But again, I don't know. I mean, Seeking Brutha Husbands, TLC Sunday nights at 10 o'clock, folks. Check it out. What will they think of next? Let's take our way over to Asia. In China, marriage rates are down, but bride prices are up. Bride prices. Did you know about this, folks? Exactly. Look at this. This actually is a mass wedding to encourage residents to resist bad habits, such as high bride prices, payments that grooms make to their prospective wives' families, right? Do you agree with this? You make a payment to the wives. You're now saying that I mean, this is OnlyFans. This is just pretty much OnlyFans with the large down payment. 30. Let's read story, folks. This comes by Yahoo by the way of who is this? Nicole Hong and Zizhu Wang. I'm gonna hopefully pronounce that right. This also comes. It's Yahoo. All right. So these are Asian people who are covering this story. I have no. I'm just reading the article here. 30 women sat in wooden chairs, wooden, facing each other in a rectangular formation. In front of the room was a ruling communist. This is where we're headed, folks. You socialist people out there, women's rights and stuff like this. I mean, if we're looking at communist China, are we not headed in that direction? Once you have everything put in place, then we see how things go. We'll see how things go. My fear or concern, my concern, not a fear, is that are women work again, are we paving the road to our own destruction? Are women now fighting for rights to free up things that will evolve us into a society like other societies where women have less rights? I don't know. Don't I would say this, be careful for wanting freedoms because the freedoms may lead you back into not having them. In front of the room was the ruling the hammer and sickle logo with a sign declaring the meeting's purpose was a symposium of unmarried young women of the right age. As you see on the thumbnail that I put up there is that Xing Yu, I believe it's called, right? Xing Yu is what's called leftover women. Xing Nu. All right, that was covered before. Kevin Samuels, late Kevin Samuels, God rest his soul. He covered that. He covered that one about Xing Nu is what they call leftover women. So these are women of the young women of the right age. Now remember, we covered stories before saying United States now that 30 something women percent of the women are single, whether 64% of young men are single. So again, is this the start of high bride prices for young women who want to be locked down and not locked down like that, but married? Men who can pay their way to the bride. The women that gather as a sign of public pledge to reject high bride prices, referring to a wedding custom in which a man gives money to his future wife's family as a condition of engagement. Pay to play. The local government describing the event earlier this year as a notice on its website hoped people would abandon such a backward customs and do their part to start a new civilized trend. Why don't we reverse it? Why don't women pay the men? As China faces a shrinking population, and this is true, China is facing a shrinking population, and this is largely due to the policy of the one-child policy, and also they actually have a shrinking population of marriageable young women. There are not enough younger women for the men because older about 20, 30 years ago, they tend to have kept the males and they discarded the females in whatever ways that was done. You were not allowed to have only one child. So now that rule is caught up with them now. And the officials are cracking down on the ancient tradition of betrothal gifts to try to promote marriages, which have been on the decline. So even in China, they are calling the marriages on a decline. They're not getting married. Known in Mandarin as Kali, the payments have skyrocketed across the country, averaging 20,000 in some provinces, making marriage increasingly unaffordable. 20,000. I don't know if that's the wedding, but here in America, tradition, which not always is the case, the woman's father pays for the wedding, which can run around this same price. But I think traditionally in America, the woman's father paid for the wedding or, the dowry was given. And that was because the man couldn't give the woman back. You couldn't divorce her because the family paid you. I might be wrong. Mm-mm-mm. In animal news, folks, as you know, I love animals. You should love animals too, okay? Reintroduce wolf packs. If you love your dogs out there, watch out Colorado because Colorado wolves are they're killing local dogs. Yes, that's true. Our story comes by Yahoo as well as dogtime.com covered this story. Reintroduce Colorado. Woo, that's a tongue twister. Reintroduce Colorado wolf packs are killing local dogs. And Wyoming and Colorado, 2 states no less. Reports of wolf pack killing local dogs are pitting animal rights groups against rural ranchers in these Mountain West states. According to Cowboy State Daily. Wow, Cowboy State Daily. That's an awesome name. Colorado's North Wolf Pack was implicated in 2 dog deaths earlier this month. Unfortunately, wildlife experts say in the situation is inevitable. Simply put, wolves and domesticated dogs do not mix. That's for all you people out there showing those videos about wolves and dogs getting along together. Great job. Now dogs are getting they're getting their lives ended. We have documented several cases of wolves deleting domestic dogs, including pets, those guarding wild livestock, and hunting hounds. He continued. And again, why shouldn't they? Because again, these are you know, the dogs are still canines to wolves. They're just intruders. And here we go. Explain how wolves will aggressively defend their territory from other canines. It believes that the recent attacks had similar motivation. These are the wolf packs are defending what they perceive as their territory. The unfortunately, the 2 more recent attacks are the only latest affecting the North Park residents. I'm sure we'll come back to this. Colorado Parks and Wildlife paid $12,929.75 in compensation for wolf livestock depredation of 5 cows, 2 working cattle dogs, and 1 cat. Well, we are the reason why we got rid of the wolves. That's what we did. Early humans, early mans went into, as farmland was more introduced in rural areas, cattle, people, beef factories and things like that. Wolves were native to the land. As all things with humans, we come in and we clear out other predators. And that they were native to this area. They controlled other populations. They did their job. And we got rid of them. And now they're reintroducing them back. I think they're doing this in England too. Certain parts of Europe, wolves are being reintroduced. Why can I not talk today? I don't understand. Little tongue twister. It's probably because of my allergies, folks. Excuse me. The pollen's growing everywhere, folks. Any which way. I'm sneezing. So we got another story. ESPN recognizes Lia Thompson and Women's History Month special. Lia Thompson, the transgender female that won tons of swim meet competitions, NCAA Division I championship by winning the 500-meter freestyle race. ESPN recognized Lia Thompson in the TV special dedicated to Women's History Month, sparking outrage from female competitors who swam against the transgender identity. See, this is what I'm talking about again. See how it's been changing? Again, another pronoun misgendering. And who wrote this article? Man, I tell you, Yahoo, Caroline Downey. See again? And listen, women, I like I told my wife earlier, I say, listen, you were for gay rights movements and all of that stuff, right? Everybody needs rights. I get it. Well, support gay rights, of course. Why wouldn't I? People should have rights. But when you buy the room, you have the key to the door. Everything in the room is yours. You can't start drawing lines over what is yours and what's not. This goes along with it. Again, it was an inevitability to the start of all of this stuff. Is anything wrong with that? No, because women were defenders of, because again, you were a phobe, you were this, you were that phobe. I again support this. Because why? Because again, the door was open for this to happen. This is what the people wanted. This is what we voted for. If you voted for any democratic, progressive ideas, you voted for this. As many of the things I tell my wife right now, you're changing your mind because you see your sons are going to have to deal with a person like you. That's when it changes. I've told my wife that now. Be careful of how you treat me. Your sons will find a wife just like you that will treat them the same way. Then you will have a problem. Not that my wife treats me bad, but again, we have issues just like every man and woman does. Same with my daughter. She may not get your outcomes because a man may not have, he may have certain intolerances that I tolerate with my wife. And again, when you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything. And now the check is being cashed in a proverbial sense. The segment honored Thomas for being the first transgender athlete. And again, here we go, who swam against a transgender identifying man. Another, this grinds my gears because we got to toe the line now. See, if you're Jordan Peterson, he stood on his box. But again, women supported this in the beginning. Then they said, oh, I don't like the fact that this is kind of digging into my, rules for me. Now I'm starting to have to pay the tab. I thought only men were going to suffer from this. No. Where women follow soon, men fall in a hole that women will soon trip over, okay? Trip into. The problem is they think you're going to avoid it. No, you're not. You're going right after us. So dig the ditch, put us in there, and then what you're going to do is turn around and fall right into the hole yourself. It's just going to be a little later, and now it's coming home. And the problem is that the males that decided that this was an easier route for whatever reason, maybe they believe that they are what they are, but again, women are not having a problem with it. And again, a lot of times, if you ask a woman, hey, would your son come in this way, and he says today he's this, and that, they're gonna have to really think about it, because again, cognitive dissonance. The issue's happening outside my home. It's not in my house yet. And I support this. I do. I told you, I want all women stuff should be transgender, and then all men stuff should be heavily steroided. Why not? This is what you wanted. You should support it till the end. See it through. But again, the transgender identifying man, this is when you have to take accountability for decisions that were made. You can't just say, now, this is an isolated thing. When the first movement started, everything was going to be coming afterwards. You don't have a baby and then decide that you're only going to have a baby. The baby's going to grow up into an adult. That's assumed when you have the child. It's part of it. The HGTV community, QRP and NPR, whatever else, this was an eventuality or evolution from the initial the gay rights movement. That this is where they're going to evolve to, because it wasn't just people who decided they like someone else. People always have liked to cross-dress or do other stuff like that. That's been in the lexicon of human history. There's nothing wrong with that. The problem is people didn't think it was going to start affecting them. That's what I have a problem with. You supported it, stay supporting it. See it to the end. Don't decide now it's an inconvenience because you're losing. No, what you should do is accept it the same way that you fought for the rights out there. See, it's not just affecting the black community. Now it's hitting everywhere else, and people want to put a stop to it. But when it was blacks going through it, no problem. Let's put them on TV and beards and mustache with long hair. But guess what? You're going to start losing some races now. You don't have to like it, but I'm supporting it because, again, this is what you supported. I support women's choice. I support your body, your choice. Great. Okay, good. But when you make choices about progressivism, this is progressive. A transgender identifying female is the correct term. Carolyn, what's next? You're going to start calling black people the N-word? Thomas made her debut as a member of the women's team in December 2021. The network said in glowing highlight, complete with uplifting instrument. Damn, but she got a theme song? Complete with Woo, boy. Okay. And you know what? The reason why is because, again, I have a problem always. You know what? I'm going to give you a short story today. We do Acme pickup, the trunk pickup. After the pandemic happened, the grocery stores decided they were just going to put the groceries in your trunk. You order the food online. All your groceries come out on the app, whatever else, right? So now in this state, Pennsylvania has ruled that, hey, we're not going to do plastic bags anymore. They only give you paper bags, right? Now, young girl, bless her heart. Bless her heart. That's all I'm going to say about that. You know what that means if anybody's from the South. Bless her heart. Child, bless her heart. As my grandmother would say, that child is special. Girl comes out. She's new because we've dealt with her many times, right? Not only the order mess ups, or I'm sorry, because my wife, I send my wife in there for all that. I can't do it. I don't need to be heated or everything. But my wife, she gets in that ass about that stuff. And again, she messes up her order a lot. She's new. She's learning. I'm always patient with people like that because people have a job. They got to learn. I made mistakes in the beginning of my nursing career. Let people make their mistakes. It's going to happen any which way. The problem with paper bags is that they put one bag in there, but it has a weight lift. So you got to lift it from the bottom, and always not everything stays in there. She got three yogurt cans, canister, the containers of yogurt, applesauce, two things of applesauce, the big containers, the regular applesauces, and butter, a thing of butter, a tub of butter, which is definitely pounds in weight. One bag. I told her, I said, girl, you better learn to double bag. She says, I wasn't the one that bagged it up. I said, but you brought it out here. I mean, you obviously seeing what's in here. You did the order. Again, lack of accountability. I told my wife in traditional fashion, along with people or young people in that, she took no accountability. And again, we see no accountability happening now when Leah Thompson's debuted as made her debut as a member of the women's team in December of 2021. And she had theme music. She complete with uplifting instrumental music, which is the theme song in most superhero movies. She had a theme song, goddammit. Thomas was on the men's team until sophomore. Holy shit. Okay. This is what you voted for, women. My body, my choice. Well, guess what? Men had a choice too. And Leah Thomas was on the men's team up until sophomore year when she began transitioning. Her body, her choice. And again, we still have the same thing with the cyclist, transgender identifying man. Actually, it's transgender female. But again, we're doing the whole thing. It didn't work. Again, rules for me, not for thee. And ESPN's going along with it. Interviewed Thomas about the decision to transition for the segment. Being trans is not a choice. Oh, okay. All right. And where's the Dave Chappelle? Okay. All right. I didn't have any other choice because not transitioning was not leading me anywhere. Huh. I didn't. Let's read this again. Being trans is not a choice. I didn't have any other choice because not transitioning was not leading me anywhere. Sounds like a choice to me. Okay. Rather than applaud female swimmers who have trained for years to earn medals, ESPN cast those who objected to Thomas's participation in the women's category as not being inclusive or accepting or even phobic. She said hopes that her persistence serves a larger purpose. Okay. And again, like I said, no judgments here. My whole thing is my body, my choice. The door is open. You get what's in the room. All right. You can't say I don't like the furniture. I told my wife the same thing. When you own a house, when you get an apartment, everything that the front door opens inside is what's considered yours as an apartment. The cracked foundation, the fact that you find a leak later on, the fact that everything looked good when you did the first inspection, but the inspection missed something. All of that is yours now. Your problems or solution, you bought the house. When you fought for the rights and you supported it, you got everything that comes with it. Seen or unseen at the time of support. That's what accountability is. I'm sorry, but that's what accountability is. And we'll go to folks, if please understand what's going on behind the scenes here, because I'm almost done, folks. We're almost out of here. NPR, Ari Blaff, this comes today, 220, issues correction, admits there's evidence proving male athletes have an advantage over females. Really? We didn't know that. NPR have issued a story, a crucial correction, following a story published Friday, which argued there's limited scientific research reporting the ideas that males have a physical advantage over females. I mean, these are companies that receive money. A tweet earlier tweet incorrectly stated there's limited scientific evidence of physical advantage. Existing research shows that higher levels of testosterone do impact athletic performance. You see why? Please, people, see why I put these two stories together. But there's limited research involving elite trans athletes in competition. Of course. You all can read the rest of this. I just wanted to highlight that, because again, the fix is in, the information is up is down, left is right, in is out. We don't have to. It doesn't have to be. Oh man, my whole thing about it is that Be careful what you support today. Be careful the arguments that you so vehemently defend, that you're passionate about. Because if you're going off follow the science seems to be woohoo changing so much. Folks, in conclusion, first of all, donate to the show. What am I talking about? $ Ancestry Lands on Cash App, Venmo, Ancestry Lands, folks. Please donate to the show. We would appreciate your support. We're still growing in subscribers, folks. Again, I'm the slow build guy, man. Slow build. We talked about 401ks, interest rates, taxes, calculation, inflation, things you should consider. Boy, I tell you, man, I'll go back to the hospital, talk to people about this stuff. They'll look at me, probably never even watch the show. That's just how stupid people are, man. You can tell them everything on how to prevent their own destruction. They still will walk towards fiery gates. Who gives, right? Folks, we've also talked about the Xingyu. The bride prices are going up around $20K in China. Provinces. So, you got that dough. Go on, China. Get in that get in them bids, boy. Get your bids in, all right, folks? That 20, what is it? 20 stacks, 20 racks. Going rate, all right? Get you that's the bride price. Go on bride price, folks. I got to say that again, all right? Other news, folks, we talked about ESPN's honoring Lia Thomas for Women's Month. My daughter gets older. I'm going to say, hey, your mother supported this kind of stuff, I go ask her. Be careful what you support, people. Be careful what you support. We talked about TLC's brother, Seeking Brutha Husbands. Divorced black men, it is not over for you. You can always be a fill-in. A fill-in for a couple that's looking for emotional and sexual growth. Yes, and Seeking Brutha Husbands, brothers, divorced brothers, single brothers, show your white co-workers this is the new trend. Be part of the Seeking Brutha Husband. Maybe in season 2, you can be on the show. Show people how the learning channel is evolving. I don't know what they're teaching, folks. We talked about the Colorado wolves just decimating local dogs. Protect your animals, folks. Your pets are not safe. Even the dogs that are meant to fight against, they're a pack. They're defending from other canines. You should have more than one dog. It's this, the wild, the nature, the streets of nature. The wildlife streets are getting dangerous. There are wolf packs now in Colorado and Wyoming, and they're about that life. They're taking out your pets, folks. Other canines are now the ops for them. Folks, I hope you've been educated, enlightened, and entertained. See you tomorrow, folks. Have a great day. And our hearts and thoughts do go out to the Covenant School down in Nashville, Texas, folks. Talk to your kids about what's going on. Don't hide this from them. Make them aware that this is happening, so they understand they can have fight instead of flight. And fighting means that you find ways to get out of the situation. Flight sometimes can mean like pray. Fright or flight. Or they call it fight or flight. But any which way, folks, our hearts go out to the family, parents, loved ones of the people and lives lost down in Nashville today. Nashville, Tennessee. If you don't know about it, there was another school shooting down there and lives were lost. And the person doing the woman, she was put down by police too as well. But folks, our hearts go out to the families and loved ones and parents. It's a horrible day to get that call. Any which way, folks, we'll be back tomorrow. Got more stuff. Hope you've been educated, enlightened, entertained, folks. Live with Uncle Phil. See you tomorrow, folks.